If you're a student, you've probably been in a situation whereby at the beginning of the year or term, you're super motivated, you set up a weekly schedule, but 3 weeks in, you already forgot about it. You constantly feel like you're behind and you're always playing catch up. So in this video, we'll be tackling that problem heads on. I'll be sharing with you time management strategies, productivity hacks, and how to set up an effective schedule that you can actually stick to. So make sure that you watch this video until the end so that you can get as much value as possible, and make sure that you like if you found value, and let's dive in. So the first concept that most students don't understand is what we call the energy management mindset. So what is the energy management mindset? Most students think time management is about squeezing as many study hours into their day. But what they don't know is your brain doesn't function at the same level all day. There are specific parts of the day which are perfect for deep work, and there are some parts of the day which are perfect for lighter work. And what I've discovered is there are 3 key periods into your day. So there are 3 key periods. Period number 1 is your peak productivity period, and period number 2 is your energy deep period, and period number 3 is your recharge time. So you might be asking yourself, Blessing, when specifically are these periods? So peak productivity period is usually in the morning. And I know someone might be saying, yo, Blessings, mornings don't work for me. Be patient with me. I'm going to tell you why most of the times people think mornings don't work for them. But for now, know that peak productivity is usually in the morning, right after you wake up. And the energy dip period is usually in the afternoon. So after having lunch, and then now you're feeling like, yo, I don't have energy anymore, I can't continue anymore. That's the energy dip period. And lastly, your recharge time, which is usually in the evenings. So understanding this will help you structure your days so that you can maximize your productivity. But here's why most people are like, Blessing, mornings are just not for me, right? And by morning, I don't mean waking up at 5 a.m. Well, if you do, that's great. You're part of the 5 a.m. club. But by morning, I mean reasonable times such as 6, 7, or 8 a.m., right? So most people, what they do is they waste their mornings on distractions that seem harmless, but they drain their energy. One typical example is social media. So a person will wake up, scroll on social media, and then after scrolling on social media and getting all those dopamine hits, they are tired and it's difficult to switch to a less fun task like studying. So what do they say? They're like, mornings are not for me, so I'm just gonna waste the entire day, right? So the day sleeps off, and then in the evening, what they do is they sleep for 2 to 3 hours. They take a long nap, and when they wake up, they're in panic mood now because they didn't do anything the entire day. They're like, yeah, now I'm productive. I can go to campus. I can go to cross night the entire night. But what they actually did is they started their days off in a bad way, which drained their energy, and then they're like, mornings are not for me. So make sure that you're honest with yourself. Are mornings not for you, or do you usually start them in a bad way? So make sure that you drop a comment below and let me know what you think. So the key here is to work with your energy and not against it. So now that you understand the 3 cycles into your day, you can use them to maximize your productivity, which leads us to point number 2, that you must prioritize your energy and not time. So how do you prioritize your energy and not time? So you ensure that you schedule the most difficult tasks, those deep work sessions in the morning when your energy is at its peak, right? That difficult course, difficult subject, or those deep work sessions, long deep work sessions, you can schedule them in the morning when your energy is at its peak. And in the afternoons, when your energy is dipping, you can do lighter work, like maybe watching a lecture recording or videos on YouTube of a specific concept or specific subject, because that way you're doing less work because you're just consuming what the other person is saying. Or you can just review your notes, read through your notes, which is a lighter task than actually doing a deep work session whereby you're preparing those notes. And in the evenings, whereby it's your recharge time. You can just relax, watch a movie, and also maybe just plan for the next day, right? Which is a good habit, always planning for the next day before, because when you do that, whenever you start your day, you start them with a plan and you know where you're going. So this is how you can maximize your 3 cycles of the day. In the morning, you make sure that you utilize your energy as best as you can while you're still in peak productivity. In the afternoon, it's lighter tasks. And in the evening, you do work that's even more relaxing. And please, in the morning, no social media. So a productivity hack which I currently utilize in my life is I have daily rules, right? Whenever I wake up, the first thing I do is I read those rules. And one of those rules is no social media before 1 p.m. So that forces me to know that, okay, cool, I'm not going to open my social media straight when I wake up. I'm going to start by doing meaningful work, deep work. And then after 1 p.m., that's when I can open social media, because then my energy is starting to dip. And another rule in one of those rules is I strictly stick to 1 hour social media limit a day, right? So in my phone, I set it up that I can only use social media for 1 hour. And once it hits, I don't ignore that limit. I do something else instead, which is fun, right? Maybe like I read a book, or I do something productive that's constructive, rather than me ignoring the limit and continuing to scroll on social media, which is a distraction that's not going to build me in any way. So I make sure that I strictly stick to that 1 hour limit of social media. And now we can go to the third point, which is the importance of sleep. So what most students do is they'll stay up late scrolling on social media, sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I've been a victim of this myself. And then set an alarm for 6 a.m. and say, tomorrow I want to start my day in the morning. After sleeping for 2 hours or 3 hours, do you think you're going to be productive? So that's one thing that most students get wrong. No matter how perfect your study plan is, no matter how flashy, colorful your weekly schedule is, if you didn't get enough sleep, then you're not going to be productive. That weekly schedule is just going to be useless. So make sure that you get enough sleep. Usually, I'd advise you to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Someone is probably saying, Blessing, you can't sleep 9 hours a day. Most students actually sleep way more than that. 15 hours, 12 hours a day. It's just that we don't track their time. I'm telling you, if we can go and track the amount of time that students usually sleep to procrastinate, you'll be shocked. But I advise you to sleep 7 to 9 hours a day, which is more than enough to restore your energy levels. So here's one tip, right? You must be strict with your sleep schedule. And how do you do this? Most of the times we focus on the alarm to wake up. We're like, I'm going to set an alarm for 6 a.m. so that I wake up at 6 a.m. But if you slept at 2 a.m., that's unrealistic. So what I advise you to do is be strict with your sleep schedule. So instead of setting an alarm to wake up, set an alarm to sleep. And this is a game changer, because what I've seen is if I set an alarm that I'm going to sleep at 9 a.m., at 9 a.m., it goes off, I go to bed, I switch off my lights, and I put my phone far away, and then I sit in my bed, force myself to sleep. By 10, I'll be asleep. And usually, it's easy to wake up at 4 a.m. It's easy to wake up at 5 a.m. I don't even have to set an alarm for waking up in the morning, because my body will wake me up. After sleeping for more than 7 hours, my body will be like, yeah, you've fully rested, now you can wake up. So don't fall into the trap of saying, I'm going to set an alarm to wake up, because you're going to snooze the hell out of that alarm. So make sure you set an alarm to sleep every day, and say, if I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m. every day, it doesn't matter how far I am with my work, I'm going to sleep at 9, and then I'll make sure that I'll wake up in the morning around 4 or 5 and kick off my day, because that's when I'm the most productive, which ties to the previous point. You're only productive in the morning if you got enough sleep. Now you're probably thinking, this guy hates social media. He's advising us not to open social media. But if it was according to me, I wouldn't have social media. But because I love doing these videos, then I'm on social media. So make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the community so that we can grow together. So let's go to the fourth tip, which is you must plan your breaks and personal time. So what most students do or get wrong is they don't usually plan for their breaks and personal time. So if you didn't plan for it, then you'll take it whenever you feel like it. You'll be studying, or before you even start studying, you're like, let me go make food, and then after that, I'm going to start studying, and then after, like, let me just relax for 15 minutes. Anytime you feel like it. But if you plan for it that during the day, I'm only going to have lunch at 1 p.m., right? Before then, I'm working. Blocked out that time for working, and at 1 p.m. I'm going to have lunch. That gives you some sort of structure so that you don't stop anywhere you feel like stopping and have a break that turns into 2 hours, 3 hours, or the entire day because you didn't block out time for that break. Because having a break helps you to recharge. Even when you're studying, using something like the Pomodoro method, whereby you set a timer for 60 minutes, you sit down, you work, and then after that you give yourself a 5 minutes break. And remember, no social media during that 5 minutes break, because you're going to fall into the trap of getting that dopamine rush, and it will be difficult to go back to studying. So take a walk, read a book, do whatever you can do, but make sure that after the 5 minutes you go back into studying. Another thing I see most people not doing is planning their personal time, right? So if you don't plan your personal time, let's say you just blocked out your calendar with studying, and it's Saturday, your friends are like, yo, Blessing, let's go out. You're going to go out because you're looking at your calendar like, I don't have any other time to go out anyway, so I can just go out. But if you planned out your personal time and say every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. that's my personal time. So you can even tell your friends that, hey guys, I'm available every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and we can do something fun then, right? But if they invite you on times whereby you've blocked out to do actual work, then you're going to say, I'm not available at this time. I'm not available at that time, so let's go out at a specific time. So it's also advisable to build a community of friends whereby you guys are doing the same thing, and you can kind of like structure your schedules in more of a similar way. So make sure that you plan out your breaks and your personal. And also, you're not a robot. You can't be studying 24/7. You need some break. You need some time to connect with other people, connect with the world, refresh and regain that energy. Because if you think you're going to study 24/7, you're going to be miserable. So I always preach that you must take care of all the spheres of your life: your health, your relationship, your work, your faith, and all those other spheres, right? So you can search the wheel of life and try to set goals in all of them and make sure that you balance them out. Which leads us to tip number 5, which is you must have some sort of flexibility in your plan. I've seen students having a weekly schedule that's filled out to the par, right? So they say, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and they're doing something from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. So that's unrealistic, because you must set a schedule that has some sort of buffer time, because life happens, and if life happens, you might need to move things around. And if your schedule is too packed, then it will be difficult to do that. So like I said, that in the morning is peak productivity, that those deep work sessions, in the afternoon lighter work, and then in the evening it's relaxing. So that evening you can use it as some sort of buffer time, because you didn't schedule any difficult or hardcore stuff there, right? So if in the morning something comes up, right, let's say for example you have to go take off some errands in the morning, you can shift those deep work sessions into the afternoon and the lighter task into the evening, and forego watching a movie that night or a series that night, because you have some buffer time in between. But if you're going to set up your schedule like, I'm going to study in the morning, I'm going to study in the evening, and I'm going to do hard work in the afternoon as well, then you won't have any buffer time in your schedule, and you'll find that once you miss one of the things, they'll be like, I'm no longer following the schedule, I'm just going to move with the flow. So make sure that you set up your schedule in a way that it allows you to have some buffer time. So now we can go to the last tip, which is a game changer for me, which is using to-do lists daily. So what a to-do list does is it breaks down larger tasks into smaller ones. Because in your weekly schedule, you'll have from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm going to be studying, right? And you're not specific what you're going to be studying, or sometimes you can say I'm going to be doing maybe taxation, and you're not specific with what you're going to be doing there. So with a to-do list, the day before, usually what I do is I look at all the things that I have in my weekly schedule the next day. I look at my schedule and be like, okay, I said cool, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm going to be studying tax. And then I think, what do I need to do in tax? Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to be reading notes on residency, right? And point number 2, I'm going to do 2 practice questions. So that breaks down that huge task into smaller ones, which are steps that I can take. Tomorrow you don't have to wake up and say, 6 a.m. and start thinking, what am I going to do with text? Wasting time, right? Tomorrow when you wake up, 6 a.m. hits, you're like, I said I'm going to read notes on residency. I said I'm going to read notes on capital gains. So you dive into it, you start reading your notes. And then after, you practice those 2 or 3 questions that you said you're going to practice in your to-do list. So a to-do list serves as a guide to say, these are the steps that I'm going to take for that day, specific steps that I'm going to take in order to tick off most of the things that are in my weekly schedule. And when you're busy ticking things off, you feel some sort of reward. Late at night, when you open your to-do list and you see that, hey, I didn't tick anything off, that has some sort of sense of guilt. And with me, I use my note app and I have my to-do list throughout the days like this. So I can see, on this day I wasn't productive. The next day I have to be productive because now I'm copying the same task from the previous day. I'm putting them in a new day, which is wasting time. So a to-do list is really a powerful game changer because you're becoming specific with what you're going to do in your days, and also ticking off those things gives you some sort of reward and shows you how productive you are. So if you'd like to see me do a live walkthrough building a weekly schedule for myself, make sure you drop a comment below and say, Blessing, I'd really love to see you doing a weekly schedule live. And I'll definitely post a video whereby I'm working through building my own weekly schedule. And tell me in the comment section how you found this video. I'd really appreciate your feedback. If you have any topic recommendations, you can drop them down in the comment section. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friend. And let's win together this year. Cheers.